One. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bronze Breakdown Podcast. I am your host, Equinox. This is my co host, War Turtle. And today we are going to be doing the first ever episode of the Bronze Breakdown Podcast. What this podcast is for, what it is about, is hopefully shepherding low elo players from bronze to hopefully silver or gold or whatever their rank goals may be. But if we can at least get bronze players from bronze to gold, then that is a success in our books. The goal is to be a educational and motivational podcast with the intention of teaching you guys how to get from one elo to the next and hopefully helping the hard stuck players who haven't given up yet. Like, we are here to hopefully to help you guys. My name is Equinox. I reached gold for the first time ever in 2024. For someone who was bronze for 10 years, I know the meaning of hard stuck. Here at the Bronze Breakdown Podcast, we'll be holding weekly discussions with the intention of getting you to gold. Wart Turtle, welcome to the show.
Yep. I am War Turtle. I have been playing League of Legends for 6 years. I was hard stuck for about 3 years in bronze, and I really felt that that was it. Like I'm not gonna make it out, dude. I thought like I'm just a forever bronze player, but I made it out, and yeah, we're here to be, helpful, hopefully, educational if we can be, but if not, at least you can, hopefully you can at least get something out of this. And yeah, now I hit gold, I hit platinum actually, and but I did have a lot of obstacles to go through. I'm
And
sure Rex did as well.
I would say that you basically had to rewire your brain and relearn the game from the ground up in a lot of ways, right? Like a lot of the
Yep.
methods that you used to get to plat that I used to get to gold, we didn't use. Like, I don't know how many you said you started taking the game seriously how long ago?
I started taking the game seriously about 2 years ago.
And for me it was about 3 months ago. So I did it because I wanted to make this podcast, but I had to get myself to gold first to prove that I could actually give this, you know what I mean? I had to have proof backing up the knowledge that we're trying to give to you guys. And I did get to gold. I had basically peaked silver 1 for the 10 years that I played this game, and I've streamed it for about 6. So you could say that like streaming was a bit of a distraction or whatever, but in all honesty, even with streaming, I was able to lock in the last 3 months. And we're hopefully going to teach you all the little tips and tricks that we used to get from myself to gold and him to platinum. I am a jungle main. War Turtle, you
I'm an
play
ADC man.
an ADC main. And one thing that you really wanted to talk about was the how the game has changed, right? The reason we waited to make the podcast was because we wanted to make sure that it had the knowledge of the modern season. Not trying to teach you guys how to climb on the old season just would not work in season 16, would it?
Nope, the game has changed a lot, and I feel like there's a lot of people who love it, a lot of people who hate it, right? I personally love it, right? But not a lot of people like it, and I think that it's very important to know your role this time around. So we can start talking about it if you want. So yeah, so all you need to know about solo carrying and or team play in season 16. What do you think? Do you think the game
So
is more solo carrying
we
potential
have
or
we
more
don't have
team play?
we don't have every role's perspective on this matter, but what we can give you guys is a ADC and a jungler's perspective. So from a jungler's perspective, team play is less important. I think it's more important on solo carrying, whether it be like playing around the one lane that's fed. You don't really need to you don't need to keep multiple lanes afloat. Like whether it's a super fed ADC or a level 20 top laner, or even yourself just constantly getting every objective over the enemy jungler, those ways to carry can really help put away a game. And Warturtle, I know you were telling me that you think team play is more important in season 16, right?
Yeah, I feel like as an ADC, team play is very important, and I think it's kind of like it's very complicated. So I feel like as an ADC this season, it's really about like you have to be there doing the most damage as you can give to your team, right? Give to the enemy team, I mean, right? But you have to play around your team most of the time because you'll just get one shot if you don't, especially by the enemy ADC as well. So I feel like it's very team reliant in that sense. Like you have to follow up the CC, you have to follow up, you have to be behind your engage, you have to know where the assassins are, you have to know who you can die by, you know? And then you have to be there as well during the team fight, not only safe, but catching those people who are out of position or who are in front of you as an ADC,
And I
right? So
also I was just gonna jump off that and say,
yeah.
with solo carrying, like team fight is important, but it's also, and what has helped me a lot is not hyper focusing on the 5 enemies that we need to kill in a fight, but rather the one teammate I need to keep alive. So if it's either myself and my positioning needs to be more important, or if it's, say, my ADC is really fed and keeping peeling for you in a fight can really make the difference. Whether I know obviously team play is important, and I have an argument for both sides. With team play, it's less important because there's less objectives. You're not going to be going to Atacon. You may or may not see the support roaming to Grubs, or you might go to Grubs by yourself or whatever. But it's on the other side of it. It is important because with solo carrying, or sorry, with team play, there are going to be those phalites that kind of like light up the jungle more. And so I feel like you cannot cross between the lanes without getting caught by somebody. I feel like everybody's floating around the river now in the new season, whether it's movement speed being buffed or the phalites or whatever. So it can be both in a way.
Hmm. I agree. I definitely agree. I think that do you feel by yourself that you can solo carry a game as a jungler?
Uh, so it really depends on the jungler. My champion pool is Warwick, Gwen, and Volibear, and I think that Warwick falls off after 35 minutes. I think that Gwen is more oriented to be a team player, whereas Volibear is the solo carrying champion in my trio. If I need someone who's going to perform really hard early game, I think Warwick's the play. I think if I need someone to help, win those crucial fights, whether it be inside her W or hitting all of her Rs, it's Gwen. And then if I need to be like the 1v9, put my team on my back and walk to the Nexus, taking towers, taking objectives, beating junglers 1v1, ganking like a motherfucker, it's Volibear. I just think all three of those champions are pretty good right now, but Volibear is definitely like, he's outperforming everyone. He's so gross.
How
What
do
do
you
you...
choose between those champions?
I like to pick... It's tough. It's tough. So and again, there's 2 AP and 1 AD, right? But really, it kind of has to stem less about what my team needs in the moment or what I think our team needs, and more about who I'm feeling the most confident on. So like towards the end of last season, when I hit gold, it was exclusively Warwick, and that's something I'll talk a lot more about on the podcast. Is that I one-tricked Warwick all the way to gold, whereas I didn't really start playing Gwen and Volibear until after I got to gold. And so yeah, it really stems on who I'm feeling the most confident on. Like I played Gwen for a few weeks, and then I just learned that Volibear was like Z tier and like he's OP with Dusk and Dawn, and I haven't built Dusk and Dawn on him yet. And I used to love Volibear back in last season when I was playing top lane. So I was like, fuck it, let's try Dusk and Dawn Volibear jungle, and it's amazing, bro. It fixes a lot of the problems that I had with Gwen and Warwick. Warwick falls off. Gwen needs teammates. Volibear doesn't need any of that shit. So I may have found a new secret code to climbing. How do you feel about your ADCs and your rotations?
I feel like for myself, so I play Jinx. I used to play her exclusively, but I don't anymore. Well, I sort of do again. But I play Jinx, I play Smolder, I play Misfortune, and I play Caitlyn. And then I have some other stragglers that I, bring in because those champs do tend to get picked and or banned. But pretty much right now, I feel like I cannot solo carry with any of them. I feel like I literally need every single person in my team. I need someone to be doing something, not every single person. I need someone to help me, like
Set up the
either with
kill.
peel or CC, so I can actually do my job. So don't think I can solo carry, but with like even if my team is just there as like meat, just like like someone just
Frontline, someone
like
just tank
y-
the AOE,
yeah,
like the skill shots that
like
otherwise would shake you
me.
directly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like if someone is just taking the damage for me or the abilities for me tanking them, I can do my job, you know? So I wouldn't call that solo carrying. I would say that's literally team play, you know? Even if you have those inting bronze players, you know, that you probably think like, fuck, dude, like everyone's just inting. As long as they're inting in a good way, which they probably will be, you know, or you're adapting yourself to look at it that way, then you can probably solo carry, quote unquote, you know, even though it is, I would consider that to be team play. But just so people have more context, I feel you played volleyball for a while and you were playing Trundle. Is
hmm
that what got you out of bronze?
In initially, like the first time I hit
Yeah.
silver in recent years was with Trundle. I hit silver one in top lane with Trundle, and really what I had taken away from playing him was honestly valuable data that poured over into my Warwick. And what I mean by that is like with Trundle, he doesn't have a lot of skill shots. You just bite people, you speed yourself up, and you fucking attack speed faster. Like you heal a shit ton. His E is his only skill shot, which puts an ice cube on the ground that blocks opponents. His R subjugate like allows him to drain his opponents to stealing, I think it's their like armor and magic resist and becoming tankier while you fight. It allows you to shred tanks like a motherfucker. So all I learned with Trundle was it took my already aggressive playstyle and allowed me to constantly shove lanes, constantly steal towers. I became really good at splitting, but I couldn't hit gold. Then you fast forward to this winter, right, in December, and I started playing Warwick. And I told myself, all right, I'm going to really try hard to just one trick this time. And with Warwick, he doesn't have a lot of skill shots. You just bite people, you fear people, you click your R to stun them. Like, it's super fucking easy mechanically. And so I think all the mechanics that I learned from Trundle did pour over into volleyball, like into Warwick. And that's what really helped me, like, fucking break the mold this year. There are other things too, I would say, like finding a proper duo partner, like playing in 3 blocks, all sorts of things like that is what really helped me like climb over the to get to. Those are secrets. I'll tell you more about them later. But I wanted to ask you, War Turtle, a question. Let me see if I can find it. So we were talking about how the game has changed. What is the hardest change for you as a ADC? Because I know the hardest change for me as a jungler is probably the fact that there's no well I okay, so my positive is there's no invades at the start of the game. 55 seconds is beautiful. I love that. My downside is that because phalites are a thing now, it makes it a lot harder to sneak up on the lanes. You have to. I feel like ganking has gotten harder, just with the way people are able to react and move so quickly. What is so? Tell us about EDC.
I feel like for ADC, everyone or the other ADCs do so much damage now. So you really have to either avoid them or like try to target them more when they're the ones that get caught. So like for example, Aphelios, oh my god, dude, he does so much damage for no reason. And Jin and Kaisa, like those kind of champs are just like destroying me. But like those are the big changes I feel. I feel like ADCs do way more damage now, and I feel like you sort of have to realize that you are an ADC, right? When you're playing ADC, and that you also do damage. But just to tie this back to how I climbed, not trying to jump out of order,
You're
but
good.
pretty much like how I got out of bronze was that I was actually a one-trick misfortune. I would only exclusively play misfortune, but I wasn't taking the game seriously. Like I would do AP like I saw my team was all AD. Okay, I'll go AP misfortune, which isn't really like the best, I feel, right? And I would just only play misfortune exclusively, and I would also I wouldn't build right. Like if my team was just like for some reason I would just be like, oh, I want to go lethality, right? But I didn't know my team was like I didn't know the enemy team was like full tank and it wouldn't work, right? Or I would go like on hit and like on hit misfortune, and I would just do so many different crazy builds. But to be fair, I wasn't playing too seriously. I just sort of thought to myself like, oh, this is what I want to do.
That is
And when I did
definitely
start taking Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna jump off what you said. What helped me,
Yeah.
you were talking about itemization in a sense, right? And like
Yeah.
messing up your build. When it came to one tricking Warwick, the step that came immediately after that was okay. I'm getting used to building the same items. You don't have to build this. At least now I'm building correctly, but you have to adjust your build to what each game needs. It's not always going to be all of your items changed. It's usually just like one or two items. And
Yep.
so, like, one tricking a champion is where you are going to you're no longer playing League of Legends to play Warwick, you're playing League of Legends to play League of Legends, if that makes sense. Like you're not playing to just play this champion. That champion will stay the same every time. So then that's when you start like playing for macro, or when micro turns off and it becomes intuition, that's when you start to like actually learn all the other facets of the game, especially like itemization and knowing, okay, maybe this one item tweak is perfect against this champion. Am I Warwick fighting an Olaf? Sometimes it's really nice to have that Thornmail or to have that Death Stance, and you can just outbeat them. Are there mages that are poking you down that you can't get to? Stridebreaker's a really great item for him. Are you struggling against tanks? Bork, and so on. So, like, I'm sure you've had to learn those little itemization tricks with your
Definitely.
ADC, and to wrap it back into like how season 16 has changed. Would you say that lethality is kind of gone on ADCs? Is it mostly crit now, or it's
I
Essence
would
Reaver
say
is like super
it's
popular, right?
yeah. Essence Reaver is super popular on certain champs that would build that. Um, I have seen some people build Draven Essence Reaver and like Misfortune Essence Reaver, right? But the most popular ones are obviously Smolder and Sivir and Lucian. But I would say that I don't see too much lethality ADCs at the moment, and this is like in a silver, gold, platinum elo.
It's kind of just gone. Like the
Um,
Yumu's
it's
collector's
it is
rush is
kind of
just
gone.
gone. What's
Yeah,
like item of the week for ADCs? Would you say? Like if you guys had
I
to go
would
build one
say
item this
it's
week,
at least for myself, I would say it's collector, dude. I feel like collector is such an underrated item for ADC. Dude, I'd be building collector on Jinx. You know,
getting
obviously it depends, right? If you have a full tanks in the enemy team, then you don't want to necessarily build collector, right? But if you don't have that and it's just like one or two frontline, I would say collector is a perfect item because like it just helps you snowball, and that's what you want to do as ADC. Like I feel like Riot this season is giving you all the tools as an ADC player to snowball. You get a free coal. Like literally you have nothing to do. Like just play the game and they're going to give you 300 gold just randomly. And then 2 + 2 gold just for the rest of the game. You know, just so you
that's
can keep
crazy.
snowballing.
It reminds you
Like
to hit your CS better.
yeah, so like farm better, and then and dude, imagine actually started playing. I'm trying to see if I want to build Cole every game now on top of the new perks that we get, right? Because it just helps you snowball even more, you know. But those are my champs that I play like Jinx and like Smolder, so they do kind of like hitting those power spikes is like very beneficial, right? Like other champs as well, but I feel like with those champs it's kind of more like emphasized, right? But
So
I just feel like it just
item
snowballing is the thing, you know?
Yeah, I think item of the week for you is tied between Collector and Cull. And for
Yeah.
me, I could easily say that it is Dusk and Dawn, hands down. It is so good on Gwen, Volibear, Diana, Echo. There are so many champions that are just taking abuse of this new Sheen item that is just beyond broken. Like, and right now in the first patch of the year, they've only nerfed the champions, not the item itself. And I just wanted to give if I had to give it to another item other than Dusk and Dawn, I want to give a shout out to one of our master player coaches in the community. He's an ADC main. His name is Space Spaghetti, and he told me that Dark Seal is like hands down one of the best things to buy in the game. It is, you get immediate value out of it from spending the money. He's a support main, whatever his role may be. Him telling me to build Dark Seal and like getting that free value out of it is equivocally the same thing to ADCs with Cull, I think. So like with Gwen and Volibear, I think I'm gonna start building Dark Seal to see if it will help me snowball more.
And
Um,
that's what it sort of feels like, it doesn't it? It feels like it's like a snowball game now, you know? And that's why like I've been in plenty games where we duo and you're just like, "Do you have collector?" because I take your kills technically, right?
Hmm.
But I'm just like, and it helps you as an ADC to snowball because what do you want to do as an ADC, especially in this season? Get to that. Get to be the champion with the most items, and
Three,
eventually
four
you'll
item
get
power
there.
spikes are massive.
Exactly. But once, like, eventually you'll get there with the 6 items, right? But if the game even lasts that long, right? But the more items you have, the more better it is for you as an ADC.
So we talked about like team play versus solo carrying, and like just going by the rules. Do you think it's more important for a top laner to be a solo carry or a team player?
I think for honestly, it's a balance of both. You
It's a
know,
it's definitely
I
got to be a balance of both. If you one trick one or the other, you have to be really damn good at it to make it a thing, you know?
Yeah, because I've seen at least those volley bears or set players or those like level 17 when you're barely level 11.
Every
Like,
yeah. Someone
but if
told me
they go ahead,
I
sorry,
was
go
gonna say
ahead.
someone told me in pro play that the top laners are like constantly 6 levels above everybody else in the game. It's insane. They
Yeah,
they, they have just so much ability to generate gold, and
yeah.
every tower has tower plates, and demolish is a thing, and upgraded TP is a thing. So like they are just smacking towers on the side lanes. I think side laning has become like super important, and I noticed that mid lane is almost always abandoned because everybody's rushing to one side of the map or everybody's rushing to the other side of the map constantly to
Hmm.
pick off stragglers or go for the objectives, and that just leaves mid wide fucking open. I think didn't you say the other day like Riff heralding mid is so important?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah, so I was watching Dantes, and
Shout out Dantes.
he shout out Dantes, and I was watching Hamza, shout out Hamza.
Shout out
They
Hamza.
were basically saying that, or not he, Dantes was saying that rifting in mid is way more beneficial than side lanes, and I was just like, oh, it makes sense, right? But obviously it depends on the situation, but usually it is better, especially at least in an ADC standpoint, um, you get to be, I guess, safe in the mid lane, But then that's another thing I want to go to. Okay, so like as an ADC player, I feel like it's really important for you to snowball, right? And there's this like this is something we can talk about as well. What are like the myths that you feel that you had to put away or acknowledge that it may not always be true when it comes to getting out of bronze? Like for example, like there's this whole notion, ADCs have to go mid after 15 minutes, right? And I think that is still correct, right? Obviously, but I think the main important thing is that you have to get your XP and your gold. And if you're going to be sharing XP and gold with the mid laner who doesn't want to go to bot lane or top lane, I feel like you might as well just go side lane at that point. But
That's 100%
obviously,
true.
you
Yeah.
want to, yeah, but you have to be safe about it. You have to be smart about it. I'm not saying go split push as an ADC. No, I'm saying like you have to collect your
Sneak that
XP and
CS in. Yeah.
gold, you collect the resources and then rotate. If at that point you have to rotate now, right?
And would
Even though
you
the mid laner
would,
should be the one rotating. Go
would
ahead.
you argue
My
when you're
bad.
getting that XP and that gold on the side lanes that you're constantly looking at the map to ensure that no one's
Yes.
coming? You're constantly setting up vision for yourself or having your support ping to vision to make sure that they don't let you get cut off before you can get back to the tower, because you're obviously at that point in the game there might not be a tower in bot lane and you're like 2 waves up, you know what I mean? You're miles away
Hmm.
from a tower. So like playing safe and knowing the map is definitely going to make what you said happen, is like watching the map while you're off on the side lanes. um,
Yep.
One of the biggest myths for me in jungle was that you have to get the first objectives, like the first few objectives in the game to win a game. That's not true at all. For me, I would constantly beat myself up if I lost first dragon, if I lost first grubs, if I lost second dragon, and it's like, damn, this guy has 2 dragons, 3 grubs, we're fucked. We're not going to win the game. But in reality, it's the last dragon that matters the most. It's Baron that matters the most. And long as you get to 2 to 3 items by the time Elder and Baron come around, it's okay anyways, bro. So like one of the biggest learning for me to basically, one of the tips I had for myself was plan B. And if dragon is already lost, priority. We talk about prio a lot, and if I did not have prio for an objective because either bot lane's losing or mid just died or the jungler showed and I'm top at my Krugs, whatever it may be, the next best option is to not sit in my jungle and clear my camps. It's to walk across the river, even ignore Scuttle Crab while that 30-second window is happening and they're taking dragon. I go and I clear as many camps as I can from his side of the map. And you can't really like cross the mid lane to get to the other quadrant to steal even more, but going cross quadrant from where the objective is. If they're at Grubs, you go to red side. If they're at Dragon, you go to blue side. Whatever it may be, has really helped me win games. Because say I'm losing in objectives, but I am way up in gold, and that bleed of them not getting their gold from their objectives not only fucks up their tempo, but then all I do is I go back and I clear my other three camps, and then I go over and I clear my other three camps. I just got 9 camps, and he got a dragon and some chickens, and like that's it. Like all of a sudden I'm up 50 CS, and he definitely not fight me at the next objective. I'm gonna be like 2 levels on him. So that was kind of really what helped me in my climb this season.
Yep. And then just to go a little bit more further with that, what like and Equinox and I have felt this in our duo games that we've played. Like I this is a controversial take that I have. I feel like the higher you climb, the more important objectives are. But the lower you are, I feel that it is not as important. And let me elaborate. So, we've been in games where we have had 0 dragons in our team, right?
Hmm.
We basically lost all the dragons. They have had Elder. They got Baron 2 or 3 times already. And we're just sort of like barely hanging on by the thread, you know? Like, no, we're not FFing. We're holding the team hostage because that's what we do, right?
Yeah, we pray for
And then
the coin flip team fight.
yeah, and then what happens? We get a fucking massive fucking ace and we win the fucking game with 0 objectives completely and we just win,
And it's all
right?
about like not letting your mental break and just keep farming.
Yeah.
Keep fucking finding the XP where you can. It may seem brutal after those mid towers go down, like the first tier towers go down and they start really invading your jungle, but you gotta remind yourself that there are probably like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ways to walk through the map and get to their quadrants. And I guarantee you, if you watch a jungler for 60 seconds and you see all your shit's getting taken, that his shit is still up. And that he will most likely back or get into a fight with someone else instead of going to get to his back quadrants. So if you can just find out which of the 6 paths on the map that you need to take to sneak all the way down there, even if it takes 15 seconds to get down there, you could clear those camps and still have the XP to keep up with them. Um, War Turtle, one of the things I wrote down was ban of the week. Who's your bans at ADC you just don't want to deal with them?
My God, there's so many of them, and I'm rotating them, you know.
I,
But
I feel that too. I feel
when
that
it,
too.
yeah, when it comes to ADCs, I feel my champs specifically struggle with Jhin, or I specifically struggle with Jhin, I guess.
Why is it? His Foreshadow
Kai'Sa,
POP?
yeah, just Jhin
Range?
just
His
does
range?
so
You
much
pair him with like a brand
damage.
and you're just fucked, huh? Like Jin Brand just
And
pokes you
you
to shit.
just, yeah, and then like, okay, let's say I dodge everything, right? But what if my support doesn't dodge it,
They
you
get
know? And
kaboomed,
they just
bro.
die. Yeah, then they just get fed, and I'm just like, okay, like, and then Kaisa is just like an ADC stomper, dude. Like, it's just so hard to play versus a Kaisa. Um, but when it comes to other bands I usually have, I would say Zed. Zed is very hard to deal with, I feel, especially when you're playing certain ADCs. I feel like when I'm playing Caitlyn, I can handle Zed, but when I'm playing like Jinx and Smolder,
It's
I
brutal.
can't really
You
handle
you
Zed.
can't
Maybe
trap him.
maybe Smolder, yeah, it's hard.
Caitlyn's really good with her
And
W and her
then
like her E and stuff.
yeah, and then Kale, I ban Kale too, dude. Kale is just like it just feels like once they get to level 16, it's just kind of super hard to deal with, especially if your team doesn't have those right tools to
Bro,
deal with the Kale.
they get 4 more levels after that now. Oh no. Or a mid with fucking upgraded AP boots. Oh no.
Hmm.
Um I
What do you ban?
my bans of the week are anything that can like really be hard to chase while also providing a shit ton of CC. So I've been banning Nunu. He also outsmites me on dragons all the time with his fucking Q smite. I can't keep up with that. Uh, he has higher gank potential with his snowball. He's just a pain in the ass. And the reoccurring theme is it is AP like tank or damage champion. So the three that I ban are Nunu, Amumu, and Lilia. I can't. Like Warwick, Gwen, and Volibear cannot really keep up with those champions. They're so fucking annoying, dude. Uh, um,
It is very annoying, and I feel like at the end of the day, you I think people just ban the things they can't really handle, you know. And I've actually heard a quote from someone. I sorry, I'm making it sound super official, right? But I
you're
heard
good.
someone say before, I heard someone say before that you should ban, you should consistently ban the same person, because then you never have to play with that champion ever again, you know?
Yeah.
So then you learn the matchups to every other champion, right? And it's not like we don't have so many matchups to learn anyways, right? Right? But anyways, um, if you consistently ban, like if I consistently ban Kaisa, I never have to deal with her ever again, and I get to learn how to play the game without a Kaisa in it, you know. But
Yeah.
the moment I start banning other stuff, which I have,
Kaisa
right,
appears.
then you start fucking, you know, when the Kaisa comes up, you're gonna be like, fuck, you have to learn the matchup now, you
So
know,
that
and
can
then
that can be the biggest mental boom is if you go to start a game and you're like, you know what, I just keep losing to Amumu's after I've been banning Nunu for weeks. I'm gonna ban Amumu. Oh, they locked in fucking Nunu. So yeah, it can tilt you, but also it's important to not always permaban one champion because over time you might realize that that champion's not as popular anymore, whether they got nerfed really hard or they're just not being played as much. So it is important to ban shit that you dislike, but it's also really important to ban shit that is being played a shit ton. So like
yep,
Diana and Echo were being spammed at the start of the season because because Dusk and Dawn was broken. And I was banning them until I realized, okay, people aren't really playing Echo at all, so no more banning Echo. People aren't really playing Diana as much. I'm seeing a lot of Nunu, Amumu, Lilia. So that's why I've been banning those three because I just don't want to deal with it. Lilia, she just runs away from me, man. How do I catch her? Ever do I catch her?
other thing I wanted to bring up in this introduction of the podcast is so I think that it's really important to play what you want to play. Okay, and then hear me out. So pretty much, I hit Platinum 3 with Lux mid. I love Lux, and I still, you know, I still love playing Lux, but I like playing Lux as an APC and ADC. You know, like I'm not a mage bot person. I'm growing to dislike them as well, right? But I'd rather play Lux in bot lane. But what actually got me to Platinum 3, which is my peak, right, is Lux mid and slash ADC. So basically one tricking Lux, right? But I was not necessarily having too much fun with her. Is just what I was good at, you know? But that's why my favorite role was actually ADC. And like my favorite champs were like Jinx, Caitlyn, and Smolder, right? So now that I'm like I felt like I decided to really just put in the time and effort to learn these champs. And now, even when we lose games, I'm just like, you know, like, man, it does suck. You know, it does suck to lose, but at least I'm losing on the champ I like,
It
right? And
doesn't.
I'm
It just
learning.
doesn't sting as bad. And
Yes.
one of the things that changed in season 16 is that LP is different. So you're getting like
Yep.
30 a plus a win and like 10 a loss, but it'll start to go down. It'll start to change over the course of the
Yeah.
season. But being 30 and 10 at the very beginning means that even if you gain 30 and lose 10, it's not really that bad. You know what I mean? Like it
Hmm.
doesn't nearly as sting as it did last season when the LP was super messed up. So, and one of the other things, there was something else I wanted to say that you had said. And
Yeah.
oh, so you were talking about like sometimes it's important to play what you want to play in that moment. Yeah, I wouldn't worry so much about what your team needs. It's more about what your brain needs, if that makes sense. So for me, it's who I'm feeling most confident in that moment. And I did start to want to flirt with the other roles. I was getting FOMO of like all the cool shit that was happening in top, mid, ADC support. Jungle, kind of seemed lame with this season's updates. But I learned that I could enjoy what this new season had to offer while not disregarding all the hard work I put into jungle by playing the new items on different champions in the jungle other than Warwick. So I had to break my one tricking, which which is okay. I'm still playing a lot of Warwick, but I am now being able to play with fucking Dusk and Dawn on Gwen and Volibear, and it's super fun. It takes all the jungle knowledge I learned, plus being able to enjoy the new season and puts it together, which keeps my confidence through the roof, which is really, again, important for my rank climb. We are, yeah, this is our first
Well, we can.
episode of the podcast. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, do you think there's a specific role that is the solo carry in this season, or do you feel like there isn't?
A
And let's
role.
compare them while we're here.
You want to talk?
What role do you think is the was the solo carry last season? If there was a solo carry role last season, the role with the most agency, and then what role do you think this season has the most agency or the solo carry
So
potential?
I think last season it was more centered around the jungle and mid lane. And I say jungle because there's all these extra objectives, and you have the mid lane being the one who roams the most and can do a lot of damage. There were a lot of champions last season, Yasuo, Syndra, that were just like able to really cause a lot of chaos, right? And then you look at this season, mid lane has lost value in my opinion. If you look at top, if you look at ADC, if they want to gank top, they at risk of running into somebody who's multiple levels higher than them. If they want to gank bot, they're dealing with an ADC who can like inflict so much more damage now in fights, and it's very very scary to deal with. And jungle went from being like this guy who had to do everything to okay, you have a much more reduced role this season, but you can still provide a lot of like assistance and value to your team. Like you basically became like a second support in a lot of ways. Like you still have carried games for sure, but that agency's gone a little bit. So I would say it went from being in mid and jungle to being in top and ADC.
Yeah, I definitely feel that way as well. I feel like last season, like the better jungler would give the team the better advantage to win and the better mid laner as well, right? But now it sort of feels like, and I wouldn't even say better in this season. I feel like in this season, whichever ADC or top laner ended up snowballing the hardest ends up helping the odds to the victory screen, you know?
hmm I think some like other like just small tips to take away from like your climb going forward after having watched this podcast is make sure to actually commit to a one trick even if you don't have. So we have two very different schedules, right? Like I am someone who streams full time and can put a million hours in the game. You're a full-time employee and student, so you only have so many hours to play, and yet we're both able to hit our rank goals. And what it really boiled down to was finding someone that you can synergize with that's going to be on the same page as a duo partner. I wouldn't mess around with like a million duos. I would find like one or two people that you can link up with a couple times a week, and then you want to combine that into playing a three block or more. As long as you are playing more than just like one game together, if you play 1-2 or 1-2-3 or even four games together, it's gonna just allow you to kind of build that synergy up and also take the heat off of like, okay, you know, I only had time to play like two tonight and we lost both games or something, or we only had time to play one tonight and we lost the game. Like by playing multiple games, it gives you a chance to let the knowledge carry over a little bit smoother, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And I think when it comes to like duoing as well, I feel like you really have to have those duos that you can synergize with. You know, like you can't be duoing with someone that you think is good at the game, but you guys have no synergy, you know, and it just becomes toxic. Or even if it doesn't become toxic, if you guys don't even have synergy, it doesn't work. I feel, you know, like you really need to have someone there that you can communicate with. That like if and even if like before, like wait, Rex, how important do you think it is to have a duo that synergizes with your role?
I think it's pretty important.
You think
So
it's pretty
whether it's
important?
an ADC and a support going together, well, yeah, I don't think that you might see a lot of people who are like top lane and support climbing together. Does that make sense? Because
Yeah.
they're gonna have a lot more limited interactions, whereas like jungle and ADC can coordinate on every dragon call, and they can coordinate on like winning team fights together because they can do that damage, that CC and that damage together, or like mid and jungle because they roam the most, or ADC and support because you're literally in the whole lane phase together. Like those are definitely the type of duos or roles that you want to like pair up with. I the only one I don't see being good is like top and support. I think it just doesn't click necessarily, but I think like you could probably
Mhm.
make it work with any role. It really just depends.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I think it's not that important because, like, I feel like before I used to think like it's really important to have synergy when you're duo, like when it comes to like your role specifically, right? But I feel like the overall synergy is better than just role synergy because, like, for example, if I were to duo, I'm an ADC main, and if I were to duo with a support main, then yeah, we have an advantage in bot lane, but that doesn't mean we have an advantage necessarily throughout the rest of the map, at least not in the beginning. And but if you have like like a top laner who's just churfing it,
Hmm.
and you're in the bot lane and you're churfing it, right? Then does that not help you win the game?
No, it does.
I feel like it does.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say
Or if you
too.
have that jungler who is like not not camping you, but just always there to help you out and scale.
That's something we learned as like duoing, right? Is that like it's not just playing together, but also playing for each other. Like if
Yes.
you rotate over to those objectives every time, it makes it easier on me. Or if you kill your laner before the objective, it makes it easier on me. What we also learned is like I can't just jungle and we learned two things. One, it's either really good to play for your lane if you get a little bit ahead, or B, it's good to like cut you off completely if you're inting. So one of the things
Yep.
that we that was a really important tip was that like if a lane is doing bad, let it rot. Like don't go near it. Focus on your other lanes. You can win through the other lanes 90% of the time. And something I was going to mention is if you want to hit gold this season, I recommend that if you are a hard stuck bronze player, to find a duo partner. Find one person and link up with them for at least 50 to 100 games, however long that takes you, so that you can get the actual data you need to see whether or not you guys are compatible to hitting gold. Because the realization is I never would have hit gold if it weren't for myself wanting to like study and learn the game and having War Turtle as like a study partner to bounce those like questions and like remind each other of like the tips and tricks to climbing. Like if you can find a dual partner like that, you can hit gold for sure. And I wouldn't recommend that you try to do it solo. I'm sure there are other players who can, but that would require like very intense micro and like you would have to just be like outplaying everybody on the riff. Maybe you don't have the best hands. You can win the games with your brain instead. So
This kind of ties to the letter of the day, Rex. Have we done the letter of the day yet? We haven't done it yet,
no,
right?
let's do our letter of the day.
What is the letter of the day, Rex?
Okay, so what we want to do here on this podcast is again, this is like all of the information of the educational and motivational podcast. I'm going to shout out Broken by Concept. We love them over there, and we want it to be like them. But this is for dummies in a way, right? We want to speak low elo language to the low elo players from low elos, us being low elos. And what we thought would be interesting is like let's treat it like Sesame Street a little bit. Shout out Sesame Street. And we want to do like letters of the day. So the letter of the day for our first podcast is the letter A, and the letter A, the word of the day is gonna go for the word assist. So War Turtle, what do you think the letter of the day means? Like what do you think assist means for like why is it
So,
important to getting out of bronze?
assisting is very important in bronze. You have to assist yourself, right? Most importantly, but you have to assist your dual partner if you have one. You have to assist your team. You have to assist. Everything comes down to assist, pretty much. Okay, so assisting yourself, playing like we'll get into that more further down the line, but playing enough games that you're actually learning, but also playing enough games like that you're not getting tired, and if that makes sense. So playing not playing too much, but not playing too little,
Yeah,
right?
so assisting yourself like before the game even begins by saying like I'm gonna play with the same duo partner, the same champion, so that I'm not just trying to learn Warwick rather than learn the actual game itself. And by having the same duo partner, once you start to have similarities cross over into every single game, you'll start to see more and more similarities, and you'll start to have what's that word we love, War Turtle? Pattern recognition on where things are going to be going and happening on the map, and that will help you a lot in your climb. One of the things I was going to say for assisting yourself too is if you're playing the same champion over and over, then you're like gonna set yourself up for success because then you can start building properly and at least like go from there. You know what I mean? You can start tweaking the build as well.
Yep. And what about assisting your team? What does that mean to you?
So, like, I think a lot of times low elos tend to like focus in on KD, like kills and deaths, but it's actually KDA. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is you get gold from bounties when you assist your teammates, right? I think that was something I just learned today. Like, I didn't even know that. Um, and not only that, but more oftentimes than not, the 0 and 30 support will get an S rank and win the game over the 15 and 0 selfish, the 15 0 and 0 selfish top laner, if that makes sense. So when it comes to assisting your team, it's not just things that supports do, but it's anybody and any role can do in those given team fights. It's not about having tunnel vision. It's about if you're on comms with them, it's about saying, hey, assisting them by saying, hey, let's hit the same target, or assisting them by throwing yourself in front of a skill shot so that they don't die. Like, taking the Caitlyn ult to the chin and saving your teammates is something that all League of Legends players are familiar with, but you can do that with a lot more abilities in team fights than I think a lot of people realize. So I would not bully yourself if you don't have kills. You just need to recognize that you are someone who is very good at assisting your teammates and start playing for who the carries are by throwing yourself in front of skill shots or focusing on just keeping them alive in team fights. Something that has helped me win so many games recently is I hyper focus in on War Turtle, and I'm not even looking at the enemy team anymore. I'm just looking at his Jinx, and I'll watch his Jinx walk around. Zed just blips on top of him. I click R onto Zed. So it's like I'm just waiting for skill shots to land on War Turtle so that I can get in the way, if that makes sense. So,
And to add on that, to clarify for those bronze AD carry players, you're not always going to be the carry. Okay, there's been plenty of games where Rex is the carry, and you're just there. Like you're either bait or you're like just tanking everything when even though you shouldn't because you're ADC, right? But you are because everyone's targeting you for some reason in that game, right? But there will be plenty of games where you're not the carry and you're just there to assist your team as much as you can, whether with damage and whatever it may be. So just because it literally says you're AD carry, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be the win condition or the carry for that game specifically. If you have a bunch of assassins in an enemy team, you're most likely not going to be the AD carry in that game. It's going to be the tank or the Warwick who's giga fed.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead,
one of the ways, one tip that has helped me in my really recently is like, remember how I talked about watching you and making sure that you were safe in fights? But it's also like, if you look at enemies that are low health, look around you. Are there enough people that can execute that guy on their own? You don't need to sit there and throw that extra skill shot or use your ult or use that ability. You can turn your attention to the next target in line if that's what's most important. If it's what's most important is not chasing them and going for the objective of said, then that's assisting yourself. So like saving, not overusing ults or knowing when that, like, hey, you can just give this kill to your team because if it's going to your ADC, then it's, going to be helping you win that game anyways, probably. That's something I've been doing more in my recent games. It's just like stop hitting a target if they're really, really low and walk away because those few extra seconds you save yourself really add up in League of Legends.
Yep. And basically, the whole reason why we're even saying this is because we want you to climb from bronze, right? And it's possible. But assisting yourself is duoing with the same person, knowing not only what your champ wants, but what your duo's partner's champ wants. When I'm playing with when Rex is playing Warwick and I'm playing Jinx, we're looking out. Where can we get a Jinx reset from? Where can we like look for someone, or how fast can we get someone low enough so Warwick's passive starts kicking in? Like you're all these little things is going to help you get more victories and climb more, and it's going to help you learn because you're learning. And this is if you're doing. If you're not doing, then pretty much just know what your champ wants, right? Like if you want to reset, or if you want someone to tank something for you, like it's just like keeping things more consistent throughout your games is going to help you figure out the win condition for the games, pretty much is what I would say.
Yeah, I think like when it comes to the Bronze Breakdown podcast, the biggest takeaway from today was knowing why the letter A was assist and why assists are important, and that breaking that common misconception that if I don't have kills, I mean, and yes, in some situations, I do need the kills because it's champions that only Warwick can beat and that the ADC won't have a chance against. But in other situations, they need to be the ones to get all the kills so that we can end the game properly, or the mid laner needs to be the one to get all the kills, or the top laner needs to continue to be fed. It's not always going to be about you, and once you start like playing as a five man and not as a by yourself individual, I think that's when you will start to see that LP improvement. So like biggest takeaways and recap of the podcast is play with a duo. Play the same champion if possible for at least 50 games. That's the only way you're going to get data to see if one tricking is right for you. And finally, I would say that you need to play with a duo, play at least 50 games of the same champion one tricking, and do three block. Doing a three block, we've had it happen plenty of times, haven't we, War Turtle? Where we lose the
Yep.
first two games of the three block, but then we play that third one and we win. And with the new season 16 changes, that's minus 20 LP for the first two games and plus 30 for the last game, which means you're walking away positive, and that is honestly the best thing in the world. It feels fucking fantastic. And usually, maybe those first two games don't click. Maybe you're in loser's queue. Maybe you just had someone inting. But I promise you, when you stick it out, the system recognizes it and it rewards you for it. So do what they want. Play with duos consistently. Play the three blocks. One trick the champions. And I promise you, and don't be worried about getting kills. Focus on assisting your teammates and assisting yourself. And I promise you guys, you can break out of bronze. We are just about at the end of this podcast. We want to wrap it up. We have any final notes? I have a little outro here I can read. But before that, Wartail, did you have any final comments?
No, I think this is a pretty good first episode. Just a little introduction and how we got out of bronze and what we want to accomplish with this podcast, especially with the motivational part. Obviously we're still low elo. We still have so much to learn, right? But we want you to be motivated. We want you to know that it is possible, that we too were hard stuck with no foreseeable hope, you can say, right? But we made it out, and now we're, I guess, on to higher battles to fight, right? But
Yeah, the grind's not over.
The
I won't be
grind's not
happy.
over,
I
and
won't be satisfied just being gold 4. I want to hit plat this season. I want to hit higher than that if I can. So one step at a time.
one step at a time. And I feel like you really just need to enjoy your time in the Rift. So I would say one trick, right? Definitely. But one trick, you someone you like, don't just like play like, oh, Diana's busted right now, I'm gonna play Diana. But then like just don't enjoy your time there with her. Just drop her,
Mm-hmm.
king
Gotta
or
play
queen.
with gotta play with confidence. Don't let anybody box you into a specific
Yep.
type of role or a specific role in general. You play what you think you're gonna have the most fun in, and you find a duo who has just as much fun in the role they're playing in, and then you learn together. You literally are study partners trying to learn the same things. And when there are two brains that are absorbing all this knowledge and bouncing ideas off each other, you will notice that the morale and the ability to carry goes way up. So just
Yep.
keep it up. Bronze Breakdown podcast listeners. We appreciate you guys. For the outro, I'm just going to remind you that we will be doing weekly episodes. So we will have another episode out for you guys sometime next week. This whole episode is going to go up on the YouTube channel and hopefully Spotify if you guys wanted to listen along and check it out. And then we just had two things for you guys. So, War Turtle, you had a leave a comment. What was it again? You said.
Um, how are you planning to climb this season?
So leave a comment in the about section below on how you were planning to climb in your current. My one is leave a comment on your current bans. So like I said, my most banned champions are like Nunu, Lilia, and fucking Amumu. What are your bans again, War Turtle?
My bans are Jin, Kaisa. Those are the main ones, and then also Kale and Zed.
Hey, okay. So appreciate you guys for tuning into the Bronze Breakdown Podcast episode 1, and be sure to check out Rhexisgaming on Twitch. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Good night, good night.
3, 2, 1, and